What's going on, guys? This is Grant, also known as Gashewski on Instagram. Today I wanted to tackle a question that I get asked quite often, and that question is what editing software I use to edit my videos. There's lots of softwares out there. Some are really good at some things and bad at the others, but I just kind of wanted to get into what I use for sports video editing and also maybe what you should use. Let's get straight into the video. So personally, I use Final Cut Pro, and it's something where I've adjusted to it. I started off on Premiere Pro and I learned it in high school, and I feel like once you learn one software, a lot of the same principles are going to apply to other software. So like I said, I first learned on Premiere. My story for Final Cut Pro, I saw my buddy, we're out in Boston chatting it up. We're talking about what software we use and what kind of camera we use and all that good stuff. He said he uses Final Cut Pro. I was like, Final Cut Pro? Really? When I started looking into it, especially with sports stuff like I shoot, it was perfect for what I needed. Getting straight into some of the advantages for me, speed ramping is a huge thing for me. In my videos, I speed ramp a lot, and it's just something I've done with my style, and it's very easy to do so in here. I remember in Premiere Pro, it was very difficult for me to learn how to do the speed ramping just because of the way that they set it up in there. So let me get into how they do it in Final Cut Pro. If you look here, I have a clip of Ian Book. He's basically just dropping back in real time and throwing the ball. So let's say that we want to have him slow down when he starts to throw the ball. So basically what we would do, we go to the frame that he's about to toss the ball, and right here we hit Shift B, and here you can see it's split right here at the playhead. So basically we have one side it's going to be 100%, and then we can have the other side be 100%, but we're going to change it. We're going to change it to 25% because we shot it in 120 frames a second. As is, with one click of the button basically, it's playing normal speed and then it slows down. And we can adjust this. So if we grab onto this, we can adjust how fast or how slow it's going to go from one to the other. So we see it basically just speeds up the process a lot more. How I use it personally, I like highlighting one action. So let's say he threw it, and then we're going to speed it back up at the very end. We're going to zoom in and adjust how the ramp is. So you're going to drag this out, and how you can see it's going to gradually go from fast to slow to fast again. So as you can see, it's very easy to do speed ramping in here. And I remember with Premiere, it was very difficult because you'd have to get a pen tool and just adjust the speed, and it was a nightmare every time. The amount of times I have to use speed ramp in my projects is a lot, so like it was just really time consuming for me, and this is just a lot easier for me. So what I do a lot of the times too, let me shorten this clip a little bit. We can basically go from fast to slow, and then we use the speed as a transition. So we can see him clapping in this clip. So let's have him like, as soon as he looks this way, we're gonna go hit Shift B, slow it down. So now you can see it's gonna go fast, slow, fast, and then it's gonna be fast on the next clip, and then go back to slow. So it's just a nice transition, and it just flows really well in my opinion. And this is just a personal preference, so don't think you have to do this all the time, but like I said, I think it looks really cool, so if you want to do it too, go ahead. This takes me to my next point. So basically the way that Final Cut Pro works is it's very simplistic. I don't know if you've ever used iMovie, but it's kind of similar to that. iMovie is not the greatest, but basically there's this magnetic timeline down here. The clips can like magnetize to each other. So let's say if we want to extend this clip out, it's gonna like push this one back. If we want to put this clip in, it's gonna like basically magnetize to that. And that could be nice. Sometimes I don't like that, and I kind of like the way that Premiere does it. So what I do is go to Edit, and I go to Insert Generator, and then Gap. Grab these clips, put them on top, and so this allows you to have spaces between the clips if you want. You can like put music and stuff down here if you want to sync it. So that's one way of doing things if you want to do it more like Premiere. And it's kind of like a scary thing for most people coming from Premiere. They're like, what the heck is this timeline? This is a good way to get around that. The next thing I want to mention is the render time. Final Cut Pro is made by Apple, and it's definitely optimized for my Mac. I remember when I was using Premiere, it would take forever to render stuff. I don't know if it was just my old Mac that was really awful with Premiere, but I just know that compared to Premiere on this machine, Final Cut just renders a lot faster. So that's really important for me when I do social videos that need to be turned around really fast, as well as a large quantity of videos. With this too, you can render multiple files at once in the background, so you can still edit your project and then have the videos rendering in the background, which is super nice. Last thing would be the price. So Final Cut Pro is a one-time fee. It's gonna be $2.99, I believe. Compared to all the Adobe products where you have to pay a subscription fee, it's so nice because you don't have to think about, you have to pay it every single month. and you never truly own the software because you're always paying. So it's super nice to have Final Cut Pro for my own, and I know that I'm gonna have it forever, and there's gonna be updates for it. Now on to some of the disadvantages or things that I don't personally like and I'd like them to change. One thing is the keyframes, but I just think the keyframes look so jank. It's not my favorite. Like, there's not a lot of ways you can adjust the keyframes. You can't like do graphs or anything with them. So I personally came from After Effects, and I love the way that After Effects does keyframes. You can adjust them a lot with the graph. Can't do that in here. I ended up getting a plugin, and basically with Add Motion, you can do everything, like all the keyframes, pretty easily. So right off the bat, it's gonna make it slide in. So you're gonna hit 0 for the A position. And the way you gotta think about it is there's an A position and then a B position. A position is the first position that it's gonna start at, and the B position is what it's gonna end at. You can adjust the duration, so how much time there is between the A and the B. Let's show you just a scale in. So I'm gonna scale in to 120 once again. And then I'm gonna you can adjust how it's gonna look with the takeoff, which is essentially just how the keyframe's gonna act. So simply, it's super smooth, and I just like the workflow of this a lot better, a lot easier anyways, and it just looks more professional. Going on to the next thing would be color grading. I'm not a huge fan of the way it does color grading. There's a lot of plugins that you can get as well, but if we're just talking stock options, what you do is go up to this little button up here, and you select that, and then you go to the exposure, do your exposure. So what I do, up the midtones a little bit, go down on the shadows, and then add some saturation to it. And then I also use some other plugins, but just for stock stuff, this is what I do. There's other things you can do as well. So there's color wheels, you have all this, color curves, so you can do all this, and then you also have hue and saturation curves and adjust all the hue and saturation individually. So there's some stuff in here, but it's just not my favorite. I like the way that Lumetri Color does it. Also, if we talk about DaVinci Resolve, obviously that's a really good software. It's mainly used for color grading. I definitely would hand it to them in that case. I think they do a really good job of the way that they handle their color grading, and I wish in the future updates that they would adjust this a little bit. The last thing is a little bit of a nitpick, but I use After Effects a lot to do a lot of my visual effects. And so if I want to bring a file from Final Cut into After Effects, I can't just do a composition from Premiere to After Effects link. So what I have to do is render out a ProRes file from Final Cut into After Effects, do all my changes there, render that file in ProRes, bring it back into Final Cut, and then render as an MP4 and do all my changes in here. So it's not the easiest, it's not really a good integration with softwares like that, but overall I would definitely take the benefits of Final Cut all day. To finish off the video, I just want to say there's lots of softwares out there. There's Final Cut Pro, there's Premiere Pro, there's DaVinci Resolve, which is completely free. I would recommend that to any people that are first starting off or want to learn a professional software. I think that you can transfer a lot of skills if you want, and there's a lot of professionals that use that software anyways, and like I said, it's great for color grading. There's also iMovie, which is it's all right, and then there's HitFilm Express. Both of those options are free. It's more for beginners really, and HitFilm Express, I've heard some good things about it, but there's a bit more features in HitFilm Express compared to iMovie, but overall it's not that great of software either. All that being said, Final Cut is the one for me. I'm a big Final Cut guy. That might change in the future. A lot of people change to Resolve. Overall, I think Final Cut is the way to go for me in sports edits. Thank you guys so much for checking out my video today. If you have any suggestions on videos I should do in the future, comment down below. Also, check out my Instagram @Gashewski to check out all my videos. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.